What's up, everybody, and thank you for listening to Mastering the Mindset. My name is Dariusdotch, and I'm an actor, hip-hop artist, and fitness and life coach. And I'm here to personally help you train and improve your mindset so that you can, 1, become the best version of yourself mentally, and 2, gain focus and motivation to be able to take action and achieve the success in life that you want and deserve. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to my channel, and at the end of this episode, if you liked it, please share it with a friend or loved one or someone who will benefit from hearing this message. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm ready to go on this journey with you, and that journey begins now. All right, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I'm going to be talking about how not to get overwhelmed, and I'm going to give you a process, step by step, that's going to help you with this. And as we all know, there is a hell of a lot going on in the world right now. Seems like every day something new is happening or something horrible went down. And not only is there a lot going on in the world, but there's also a lot going on with you and for you. And if we're being honest, there's always going to be a lot going on in the world. And if you think about it, there always has been. And for yourself, there's always going to be times or seasons when you have a lot going on for you and to you. So it's safe to say that a lot going on is a constant in our lives. So it's probably a good idea to, instead of waiting for things to calm down and wait for the world to go back to normal, or waiting for your schedule to be empty, or waiting for this struggle season you may be in to pass, it's probably a good idea, a better idea, to figure out how to deal with all these things now instead of waiting, because it'll always be there. So let's go ahead and get to this process, and it's actually really simple. So do me a favor, if you have to remember this, save this episode, share it, book it, whatever platform you listen to me on, just hit that button and show me some love. All right, let's get to it. So 1, the first thing you want to do is breathe. The quickest way to change your body's state is to take deep breaths. And the reason is because the first thing that changes in your body when your state changes, whether you're excited or anxious or afraid or sad, whatever it may be, whenever your state changes, the breath is the first thing to change. Then your mind and your body will fall in line with whatever it may be. And the technique is simple, and you've all heard it before, but a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. A long exhale as if your lips were pushing out air through a straw. And this is crucial because now that we know the first thing that's going to change when our state changes is our breath, we can now take control and have our breath change on our own terms. We can be in charge of when and how our state changes. Not our state being in control of us. We have an opportunity to take control of our breathing whenever we feel ourselves go into a state change. And that's really important and can help you get yourself into a different state. And a good technique to use, and I've heard this from many people before, but as you're taking your deep breaths, let your mind go to something you're grateful for. Something in life, a person, something you possess, someone you love. Think of something that you can be grateful for in that moment. And it don't have to be something big or extremely important. You can say, hey, I really love that show I'm watching on Netflix, and be grateful that you can afford to have it. Or if you're using somebody else's subscription, then be grateful that you don't have to pay for it. It can be anything. You can be grateful that the sun is shining or the weather is nice. And the reason why this is important is because when your emotions are high, your logic is low. So if you're in an overwhelmed state, it can be harder to deal with it because you might have that feeling of knowing you should be doing something. You should be getting that thing done, but you can't figure out what it is you're supposed to be doing. Or you maybe even know what you should be doing, but you just can't bring yourself to do it because you are so damn overwhelmed. And this is because your logic is low. It's the reason why so many people get in arguments and they end up saying things they regret, or things they would never say. Their emotions are high and their logic is low at that moment. And when those emotions start to die off and the logic comes back, and now they feel bad about what they said. So it's really important to make sure you're not in a state that you don't want to be in. So recognize it, take that first step, which is to breathe, to get you closer to being out of it. So that's number one. Number two, write out everything in your mind on a piece of paper. Jot it all down. Get a pen and paper and write out all the things, all the shit you got to do, all the things that are stressing you out right now, all the conversations that might have led to this frustration, the conversations you have in your head. Like, okay, well, if I say this, then she's going to say that. Write down all the little things that keep happening to you and why it may be pissing you off or stressing you out. All of your thoughts. How you feeling in this moment? Okay, I'm pissed the fuck off. Okay, cool. Now let's figure out how you got there. And I say, okay, cool, because we've all been there, done that, right? It's going to happen. No way around that. And you write it out and you start to work through them. Writing it out allows your mind to release it on the page. And I always use a math problem for an example. Writing out a complex math problem will help you be able to solve it easier because it's easier on the page and you can see it, all the facets of it, and understand it easier. It's easier to understand it that way. So just like you wouldn't try and solve a complex math problem all in your head, it's going to be way easier to try and solve the things that have you overwhelmed if you write them out. It allows you to see them and make them make more sense. So write it all down. And when you do that, it'll make it way easier to get it figured out and solved. And that could be a journal, a pen and pad, a napkin, whatever it may be. Write it out. That's number two. What's up, what's up, what's up? I want to take a quick moment to say thank you so much for listening to this episode and to also let you know that this podcast is 100% donation driven, which means it's completely funded by you, the listener. So if you like the content I have to offer, I would love it if you can make a donation and you get to pick the amount. I left links in the description of the video as well as my homepage. You can choose which way benefits you the best to donate. And if you need more options, please feel free to email me at dariusdotch@gmail.com. That's dariusdotch@gmail.com. Again, thank you so much for being here, and let's get back to it. And number three, after you write it all out, figure out what your next best action is to take. Take that moment to identify what that may be. Because most of the time, when you're feeling overwhelmed, you're thinking about 75 different actions you have to take between now and next month. And you're overwhelming yourself with all these thoughts, even though you know you don't have enough time to get it all done in one day. And you know it's going to take a lot of time and energy to do all those things. So figure out what's going on in your mind. You got 7 things to do for your business. You got 8 things to get done for your kids, 6 things to get done before you go to work, 2 things for your car. And we tend to forget that we're human. We literally can only do one thing at a time. And multitasking isn't a real thing. And I've talked about that in past episodes. But what do? You identify and ask yourself, what is the next best thing for me to do? What is the next best action to take? And you identify what that action is for you. One of the biggest reasons why you're so stressed out is because you're trying to figure out how you can get it all done at one time, and you can't. You're focusing on how impossible it is to happen, even though you feel like you need it to be. You need it to be possible. And you're putting pressure on yourself to get them all done fast. And you know that in reality, you won't be able to. Only one thing at a time can be done, not all of the things. So what you should do is take a second and figure out what the next most important thing is, and then you take action. And by this point, this is what's going to happen. You're going to start to feel just a little bit better. Why? Well, before you took control of your breath and then got all the things out of your head on paper, and now you can see them, and then you identified what the next best action to take is, you essentially came up with a plan. And a plan is important. Because just 5-10 minutes ago, one of the most overwhelming things, or the most overwhelming fact of it all, was that you have all these things to get done, all these potential directions to go in, and it's so many that you didn't have a plan for it all because it's so much. Well, now you just made one. You know what the next steps are going to be. And now you have somewhere to give your focus, and not on all that 75 different things you had in your head before. And that's going to help you and your brain and your body feel at least a little more calmed down. So that's number 3. Figure out the next best action. And number 4, and this is before you take any action and check the things off the list, is to get your body moving, to physically get your body moving. Jumping jacks, push-ups, go for a walk, run in place, stretch, shake your limbs out, whatever it may be, whatever you need to do. And the reason for this is a lot of times when we feel overwhelmed and we think about all the things that we need to do, but we're not doing them. A lot of times we're overwhelmed because we know all the things we have to do, but we don't want to do them. Or we feel paralyzed. Paralysis by analysis. We look at all that has to be done. We try to figure out what needs to be done first or next or now. And we end up doing nothing because we're so overwhelmed that it paralyzes us. Paralysis by analysis. Usually when we're overwhelmed, it's when we ain't actually doing anything at all. So we need some sort of forward motion, some sort of momentum to get us going. So instead of taking that action right away, do some kind of motion first. Jumping jacks, squats, go for a walk, dance around, swing your arms up and down, whatever you have to do to get your body moving to get that momentum on your side. So will you feel like you look silly for 2 minutes? Maybe. So what? Like I say, action creates more action. Inaction creates more inaction. So if you're sitting on the couch feeling overwhelmed or at your desk and you're stuck and you don't know what to do next, well, now you're going to get some of that momentum of movement on your side because now you got your breath in line, you got your head straight and you wrote everything down. Then you came up with the plan. Now you just have to get your body moving to create momentum. And the action of you moving your body is going to help create more action. And this time it's going to be towards something that's going to get you closer to getting that thing done. And that's it. 4 steps. So here's a quick recap. If you're feeling overwhelmed, 1, breathe. Your breathing is the first thing that changes when your state changes. 2, write out everything in your mind. It's easier to solve that problem when you write it out. 3, figure out what the next best action is to take, not the 75 million other things you have to do. And 4, get your body moving. Action creates more action. Use the momentum of movement to get your body ready to take off. So I encourage you to try these whenever you get overwhelmed. I know it's definitely helped me. These days it's way too easy to get overwhelmed. So let's take care of ourselves and have a plan for the next time it happens. So that's what I got for you today. If you like this episode, please share it with somebody that can benefit from this, somebody who is a friend or a family member, somebody who has goals and is trying to improve their lives. So thank you again, and let's get it in.